Airspeed and bank angle. Those are the only two factors that play any part in determining an aircraft's turn radius. I've gone over this before in the past on YouTube, however, now that I'm on Rumble, I figured I'd cover this again, especially since I saw a video from a flight instructor of all people that had this totally wrong. The claim from the flight instructor was that for any given airspeed and bank angle, if you put your flaps down, you will improve your turn radius. That is to say, you'll have a smaller turn radius. That is completely false. It does not agree with physics. So what I'm going to do here is fly the exact same experiment that he did, using the exact same numbers that he did, only my experiment shows reality, whereas his did not. Now, I don't want to completely discredit what the guy was trying to say. What he was trying to say is that if you're in a traffic pattern and you're slow, if you put flaps down, you can turn a bit more sharply without the risk of having a stall spin, or at least a reduced risk of having a stall spin. So from that aspect, it's not a bad idea. If you put your flaps down, guess what happens? You increase your lift, you slow the airplane down. So if you're flying at a slower airspeed, again, if you're flying at a slower airspeed, yes, you can reduce your turn radius. However, you cannot reduce your turn radius simply by dropping the flaps if you maintain the same airspeed and the same bank angle. So here I have just started to complete the first turn. I'm flying at 70 knots indicated or thereabouts and maintaining my altitude while in a 30-degree bank turn. Again, this is just sort of thereabouts. I wasn't being extremely careful in maintaining any of these, but neither was he, to be honest. In fact, my circle here is a lot more concentric than the one that he had. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly out and reconfigure my airplane. I'm going to drop 20 degrees worth of flaps, get the airplane turned back around, stabilized, and I'm going to fly another circle right next to the first one so that we can compare the size of the two circles. And spoiler alert, I did fly a slightly larger circle with the flaps down. There were several factors that played into that, but mainly the airplane just was a little more difficult to handle at that particular airspeed with the flaps down. It wanted to balloon, so I was having to fight that, and so I wasn't maintaining my airspeed and my bank angle quite as well as I did with the first circle. However, both circles were fairly close as far as the overall size, as you will see. Again, this is simple physics. You can plug it into a calculator. It doesn't matter whether you're in a big metal airplane like a 747 or a Sopwith Camel, as Greg's Airplanes and Automobiles points out when talking about the same subject. It really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is your airspeed and your bank angle. So here I am flying the reciprocal, and I'm at 20 degrees worth of flaps, so I have reconfigured the airplane. And we are going to attempt to fly again around 70 knots or thereabouts in a 30-degree bank turn. So here we go, we're entering the turn. The airspeed is ever so slightly higher than I wanted it to be on entry, and that's going to be a theme throughout the turn. However, what do we know about the physics again? Your airspeed and your bank angle determine the turn radius of the circle. So what happens if I fly at a slightly higher airspeed but have the same bank angle? Well, you're going to have a slightly larger circle, which is what we're going to end up seeing here. But for all intents and purposes, these circles are very close to the same size. The turns themselves were very close to the same. So there we go. No appreciable difference in a level turn just by dropping the flaps and reconfiguring the airplane. Now, I am not going to link this particular flight instructor's video or tell you where to find it. If you want to try and locate it, you can. However, I don't really want to give the guy any more publicity after him having said something so egregiously wrong. I also don't want people going out and harassing the guy. I just want people to understand the physics here. What I will do is link a video by Greg's Airplanes and Automobiles that explains this same thing in a slightly different format. He was, of course, talking about World War II aircraft and turn performance. I do highly recommend watching his content, and that particular video will be in a pinned comment below.